My mom expected me to have my dead stepdad's baby. My stepdad Richard died suddenly from a heart attack when I was 23. He was only 48, completely healthy as far as anyone knew, just dropped dead one morning while making coffee. My mom was absolutely destroyed. They'd been married for 8 years and she really loved him. I felt terrible for her, even though Richard and I were never super close. He was a nice enough guy, treated my mom well, paid for part of my college, but we had more of a polite roommate relationship than anything parental. The funeral was in April. Lots of crying, lots of casseroles from neighbors, the usual grief process. My mom took a month off work and barely left the house. I stayed with her for those first few weeks to make sure she was eating and showering. Grief does weird things to people, so I tried to be patient. But then she started talking about Richard's legacy, how he never got to have biological kids, how he always wanted to be a father, but his first wife didn't want children, how it broke his heart that he'd never have that experience. I thought she was just processing, remembering the sad parts of his life. Then one night in May, she sat me down at the kitchen table with this manila folder. Inside were medical documents from a fertility clinic, papers with Richard's name on them. My mom slid them across the table and said Richard had banked his sperm 3 years ago, just in case something ever happened to him. I was confused. Okay, so he planned ahead. That's actually pretty smart. Then my mom said the part that made my stomach drop. He wanted you to be the one to carry his child. Me, his stepdaughter. I actually laughed because I thought she was joking, but her face was dead serious. She explained that Richard had apparently told her years ago that if anything happened to him, he wanted his genetic line to continue. And since they were too old to have kids naturally, and I was young and healthy, it made perfect sense. Perfect sense. Those were her actual words. I told her absolutely not. That was insane. Richard was my stepfather. We weren't even that close. Why would I carry his baby? My mom got this hurt look on her face, said I was being selfish, that this was Richard's dying wish even though he never told me about it, that I owed it to him after everything he did for our family. She brought up the college tuition he helped with, the car he co-signed for, the times he let me borrow money. Like I was supposed to repay him by having his child. I thought maybe she'd drop it after a few days, that it was just grief talking. But she brought it up again the next week, and the week after that started leaving the fertility clinic papers on my dresser, texting me articles about surrogacy and IVF success rates. She even scheduled a consultation appointment without asking me. My Aunt Carol called me in June asking what was going on. My mom had apparently told the whole family about this plan. Half of them thought it was a beautiful way to honor Richard's memory. The other half thought my mom had lost her mind, but nobody was directly telling her to stop. I finally agreed to go to one therapy session with my mom, hoping a professional would explain why this was completely inappropriate. The therapist, Dr. Barnes, listened to my mom talk for 20 minutes about legacy and honoring the dead and family obligations. Then she very calmly asked my mom if she understood that what she was asking was not normal or healthy. My mom started crying, said everyone was against her, that nobody understood how much Richard wanted children. Dr. Barnes asked me directly if I wanted to do this. I said absolutely not. Not now, not ever. Dr. Barnes told my mom she needed to respect that and seek grief counseling immediately. My mom walked out of the session and didn't talk to me for 3 weeks. When she finally called, I thought maybe she'd come to her senses. Instead, she told me she'd found another girl willing to do it, some 19-year-old from Richard's old gym who needed money. My mom was planning to pay her $30,000 to carry Richard's baby. I told her that was even worse, that she was taking advantage of a teenager who probably had no idea what she was signing up for. My mom said at least someone in this family understood loyalty. I ended up calling Richard's brother, Uncle Pete, who I'd always liked, told him everything. He was horrified, said Richard never mentioned anything about sperm banking or wanting kids through me, that my mom had probably made up that entire part about it being Richard's wish. Uncle Pete called my mom and threatened legal action if she went through with paying some teenager, said he'd contest Richard's will and tie up the estate for years. That finally stopped her. My mom hasn't spoken to me since July. Last I heard from my aunt, she moved to Florida to be closer to her sister. The fertility clinic called me last month asking if I wanted to claim Richard's samples since my mom had listed me as next of kin on some form. I told them to destroy everything.